Hey there, folks. Brian King here. I had a wonderful discussion with a colleague this morning, and one of the things that we talked about at length was the difficulty closing the gap between knowledge and implementation. Because I know people that brag about reading a book a week and how many books they've read, and they quote the titles and the authors and so on. But then I have to take a look at what did this person actually implement? What did they do? Well, often they don't give themselves time to implement because they're too busy accumulating more knowledge. Well, what good is having knowledge that you can't use? Knowledge is not power. Knowledge implemented is power. There are people throughout history that have been given credit for things that they technically didn't do, but they had the knowledge about it. Case in point, Henry Ford is credited with inventing the Model T and inventing the assembly line, neither of which he did, okay? As if I recall correctly, somebody else was using the assembly line for some other production purpose, and he said, man, I can use this for cars. Let me try and figure out a way to make it work for cars. So who did he approach? He didn't put on his overalls and grab his toolbox and start building an assembly line. He went to his engineers and said, hey, I just saw this cool thing. I think we can incorporate it in the car manufacturing thing we want to do here. Make it happen. So he had the bucks, he was paying the bills, and he surrounded himself with the people that could implement. So he knew what to do. He had an overall vision, but he had no idea how to implement it. So he surrounded himself with those who could implement it. That's what a lot of leaders do. They don't know how to do it themselves. Richard Branson, he didn't know how to build an airplane, but he started Virgin Airlines. He had a vision of customer service that no other airline was doing. So he went to his people and he said, hey, can we do this for people? Yeah, well, how do we do it? So now he started utilizing their knowledge and their abilities to implement his vision. You follow me? Now, there are some things that you do have to be able to do for yourself. I didn't delegate doing this video. I'm doing it myself. I developed the skills over the years that allowed me to implement it. I didn't just think about doing this video. I actually did it. Now, there are a lot of things that I've read over the years, things about accounting practices for business, things about, how to create a marketing campaign, all that stuff that I didn't know how to do. But I didn't just stop and say, well, I can't figure it out. Well, it's dumb anyway. I'm not going to bother. What's the point? I realized that knowing these things, having the vision, is only part of the equation. If I can't implement it, I need to find other people that can. I need to build this team around me. That's what leaders do. Steve Jobs was not an engineer. He didn't sit down and say, okay, everybody clear the table, give me your stuff. I want to build an iPhone. No. He went to the engineers and he says, I'm envisioning a single device that can do all of these different things that our separate devices can do. Build it. And he rode those guys hard, and he was often a jerk in the process. But he ultimately got them to buy into his vision so that they could create it. He didn't know how to implement. He found the people who could implement. And that's one of the biggest issues with so many people these days, whether they're parents, entrepreneurs, teachers, other professionals who believe that in order for anything to get done, it has to be entirely within their skill set, or it can't be done, or it's not worth doing, and that is just egotism. The belief that the solution has to exist between your own two ears, or it's not worth your effort. Get over yourself. Get over that fragile part of your ego that says, it's got to be all me, it's got to be all by me, or I can't feel successful about it, I can't be proud of it. Nonsense. Every big thing that has ever changed your life, I promise you, was done as a communal effort. It was done by a visionary and the visionary's team to make it come into reality. So for you to believe that you can go out there in the world and do things in a vacuum without the help of somebody else, you are locking yourself into a box that you will never get out of. So when it comes to implementation, it begins by asking for help from people who share your vision and are going to help you put into action the knowledge in your head. Because I promise you right now, without the phone I'm holding in my hands, without Facebook created by Mark Zuckerberg and his team, I would not be talking to you right now. So it isn't all me and it isn't all you. It's we. And only by collaboration can we do anything meaningful in this world. So that's my 2 cents on that. If there's anybody you know that can benefit from this message, please share it. And until next time, this has been Brian. Thanks for being you.